Hey everyone, welcome to the first ever episode of the Wolf Pod. I'm Michael Joseph, and I'm joined here by Derek Camp and Isaac Hungerford. So basically, this podcast is going to be about sports and other interests that we have. So to start it off, we're just going to be talking about sports for the entire episode today. So our first topic is if Klay Thompson stays healthy in the 2019 NBA Finals, what would happen? Would the Raptors still win? So Isaac, if you want to start it off.
All right, I think that Golden State wins it all. Well, they for sure win Game 6 because Thompson was rolling, and experiencing Game 7 probably wins it all. And the Warriors have done it, that was their third title already. It's going to be number 4. I mean, Kawhi's a beast still, but I don't think the Raptors are getting it done.
What do you think, Derek?
Everything was starting to fall together for the Warriors at that point. Klay had just been getting hot. It was the classic. Even though was it Game 6 or Game 5? I don't remember. It was Game 6, right? The Game 6 Klay was alive and he was smoking threes. He just got hot, went up to try to shit on someone and tore his ACL. And I do think if they win, or if he stays healthy, they win that game. I'm not sure about Game 7. But I definitely think they do take it to a Game 7 if Klay stays healthy. But Kawhi Leonard obviously had it rolling, and the Raptors were very good all the way through the playoffs. But definitely a Game 7 at bare minimum if Klay doesn't tear his ACL in that particular play.
Yeah, I agree with Derek. Klay Thompson, he was rolling. I think we can all agree, though, that Kevin Durant, if he was in for the entire series, that it might not even have gotten to 6 games.
Oh, yeah, 100%, probably sweet.
So, but I do think we do have to give credit to the Raptors. They're not this terrible team that got lucky because people got hurt. Kawhi Leonard, Kyle Lowry, Siakam, Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka, they're still a great team. But I do think if Klay stayed healthy, that it definitely would have gotten to Game 7, and I think the Warriors would have taken it.
Well, they had Durant motivation too. After he got hurt, that's when they started playing better. Like everyone says, they don't need him. They obviously needed him. It would have been a lot better in the finals. But after he got hurt the second time, that's when they started playing way better.
So I guess my question then is it a tainted title? Is the Raptors title tainted? Is there an asterisk next to that title saying they shouldn't have won or got lucky, that Klay got hurt, Durant got hurt? Yeah, there's a lot of question marks there with that title. To me, if I was going to say something about it, I do think it's a little tainted. If Durant's playing, it's not even close. And I know Chris Paul the year before gets hurt, and other injuries happen, and the Warriors were on the positive side on. But I mean, 2 guys on a team like that, and people are still going to argue that they still had more All-Stars with DeMarcus Cousins. DeMarcus Cousins could move in about a 5-inch, a 5-foot diameter circle. Yeah, he couldn't move. The dude could not move around the court. He did step up and play pretty well in Game 6, but I do think that if the Warriors are healthy, it's I don't even know if it goes 6 games, maybe even not even 5 games. So that's just my opinion.
I think if we're going to call this title tainted, that we have to look back at 2015 and say that the Warriors title was tainted when Kyrie and Kevin Love both got hurt because LeBron took that team, put him on his back like he has the last 4 teams he's been on, and kind of took control and basically had no help. And Andre Iguodala got MVP of that just because he stopped LeBron when he really didn't stop LeBron. So our next topic is Drake. People argue whether or not they like Drake on the sideline, being as talkative as he is, being in players' faces and stuff like that. So Isaac, you want to?
Yeah, well, first off, it's Iguodala with an L. But I'm kind of indifferent on Drake because it does look weird to see a fan like that, especially when he's massaging Nurse's shoulders. That's really weird and out there. But he is a team ambassador, so they're fine with it. So if they're fine with it, why should casual fans not be fine with it? I mean, I get the NBA's point too. You can't have a fan pretty much ruining the game, being involved because they're not a player, not a coach. So it doesn't bother me a ton. I just think it looks odd to see.
Yeah, a lot going alongside what Isaac said. What he's doing is part of the culture that not just the NBA but basketball as a whole. I mean, like in AAU and any type of games, a lot of parents are standing up. Like there's people all around the court, and obviously the NBA is different because fans are right on top of the court. Like a fan sitting front row could stand up, take 2 steps in front of them, and be standing on the court that the game is actually happening on. And in any other sport, in NFL, NHL, MLB, like if they're that close to the court, they're getting tackled by security guards. So it's a lot different. It's part of the culture, but in my opinion, like he can stand up, he can be talking trash to the players if he wants, but just the contact with Nick Nurse, I see that as an issue because if any other fan were to be doing that, what would happen to them? They'd be kicked out. They'd be banned from the stadium. Like I just don't think that he should be touching anyone. Now I understand he has good relationships with a lot of players on the court, and he probably has a great relationship with the Toronto Raptors head coach. But at the same time, I just don't think he should be that involved with the game because he's, like I said, he's not a player. He's a rapper.
I kind of agree with both sides. I do think that because they've kind of said that he's like the Raptors ambassador, that he does kind of have more freedom to do the kind of stuff. I wouldn't say getting in opponents' faces is a part of that, but like being on the sideline with Nurse, I mean, it was kind of weird that he was massaging his shoulders and everything, but I think like him being that close is all right because of how the Raptors have kind of like adopted him into their program or their organization. Anyone else got anything to say on this?
Well, I do think it also is kind of odd because he's not a bandwagon. He's been there the entire time, but as the team started getting a lot better, that's when he starts going more, gets more publicity. So I feel like it's more like an ego thing. Like he wants the attention to help his brand. Like he wants to be a part of it. Like it's kind of selfish in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so the next topic we're going to get into is the best and worst drafts. So we're just going to, off the NBA draft, so Isaac's going to start off, and he's going to give us his worst draft, or his best draft. We're going to go worst draft first, and then we'll go around.
All right, so my worst draft is Phoenix. They picked Cam Johnson at 11, and I feel like that alone is a bad pick because in, like, some mock drafts, he was literally supposed to go 30. Like, I'm a Pistons fan, so, like, looking at the Pistons at 15, some people are like, oh, they should take Cam Johnson, but that's kind of a reach. And Phoenix took him at 11. And it's not really – it is a need because he's probably the best shooter in the draft, but they were loaded at the wing already with, like, Booker and Josh Jackson. And they already had the 6th spot. They traded back, so you could have had Jarrett Culver in that position, who is twice the player Cam Johnson is. And Culver is pretty much getting compared to, like, a young Kawhi Leonard, which would help the Suns way more. And they got Dario Saric out of that trade, and, I mean, he's okay. So, in my opinion, that was the worst draft.
I agree with the Suns being a terrible draft, but I'll give my next worst. Oh, by the way, Josh Jackson is complete trash, so as a wing.
But I'm saying, like, prospect, like,
I agree. He does have time to improve. But, all right, so a draft that I would have to rate low as well is the Cavs. I mean, I understand Darius Garland obviously is a high prospect and was like if he's available, he's a guy that you kind of have to take. But at the same time, they also take Porter, and they took what was the other man they took? His name was his name was Dylan Windler from Belmont, small forward. I don't know. They draft Colin Sexton in the year before, and it just feels like they're loading up at guard when like where in the front court do they even have a player that's, I mean, is Kevin Love still there, right?
He's in Talks right now,
yeah, so I don't know. It just feels like they're not giving people time. They just want to be good now, and they're not willing to wait. Like they had 3 first-rounders, and 2 of them were like guards, and they're probably going to be ball-oriented. I mean, I know Garland would – yeah, I mean, Garland's obviously a point. Colin Sexton, I mean, he showed a couple flashes, but at the same time, he's ball-oriented too. So I haven't seen the Windler kid play, but it just – in my opinion, it just doesn't feel like they're not being talked about either, so I guess there's some motivation there being very slept on, but at the same time, I don't see a direction. They they're loading up at guards, and their front court is I don't know. Kevin Love is not even close to a player that he used to be. He's not a dominant big anymore. So, in my opinion, Cleveland had a weak draft. They had 3 first-rounders, and you walked away thinking like, oh, who'd they get again? So I don't know. It didn't strike me as a very good draft for the Cavs.
I think the worst draft was the Pistons. So we got 3 Pistons fans, and unfortunately, we didn't like the pick. What's his name? Sekou.
Doumbia. I love the pick.
Isaac loves the pick. I'm not a big fan. It's just there's other than Kristaps and maybe Luka, he had a really good rookie season, but there hasn't been a ton of foreign players that come over that don't play college ball and that come over and play really well. I mean, Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid both were foreign players, but they came over and they played college basketball in the United States, and I just think the development in other countries, it's much tougher, and so I'm not a big fan of that pick, especially because they're kind of in the middle of the pack, and with the pick at 15, you kind of have to get a diamond in the rough, and I don't think they got that with him. So now we're going to go with the best draft.
So I loved Atlanta's draft. I know some people criticized it because they traded up and got rid of 2 top 10 picks. But DeAndre Hunter's a stud. I mean, he's a lockdown defender. And then they got Cam Reddish. They didn't give up 2 first rounders. They just gave up 1, so even better. Then they got Cam Reddish, who is arguably one of the best shooters in the draft. And I like Cam Reddish more than most people. I know he faded at times at Duke and didn't have as much effort, but he can stroke it. And you pair him with Trae Young, who had a phenomenal rookie season, John Collins, who already averages 20, and then Kevin Huerter from Maryland. That's 5 guys literally 21 or younger. They're all on the same timeline. They're all good. So I feel like in the future that's a dynamic starting 5 that could be really good really quick.
Yeah. This is an obvious one, not surprising anyone, but the Pelicans to me, from what they were with Anthony Davis, and not they were good, but they weren't a contender, and I think that's the toughest thing to try and decide between as a franchise, whether you're a contender or whether you're building. I mean, if you're not a contender, you're building, in my opinion. And with Anthony Davis, they weren't good enough to be a championship contending team, but they weren't building. They weren't rebuilding. They were trying to build around Davis, but they could never really find enough pieces to go with it. But now the Pelicans have reportedly managed to flip Anthony Davis, Hill, the 57th pick, and a future second rounder into Lonzo, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, the number 8 pick, which was Jackson Hayes, the number 17 pick, which was the Alexander Walker kid, the 35th pick, which was the Silva kid, and then a 2020 protected first round, a 2021 protected first round, a 2023 unprotected, and 2024 unprotected first. Those are all first rounders. It's absolutely outrageous what they've brought in. Honestly, solely from one guy, Anthony Davis. It all started with him, and to get that as the Pelicans is just it's a tremendous start. And I mean, obviously with Zion coming in, there's going to be a lot of hype around the Pelicans, and it's going to be exciting to see what they can do. And I think the draft night went well for them.
So my best draft was the Knicks. I think R.J. Barrett is an incredible player. I think because he was on the same team as Zion at Duke in college that he was kind of overlooked. I mean, number 3 pick in the draft isn't really overlooked, but I do believe that he's better than what people think just because he was on the same team with Zion. Yeah, and when Zion was hurt, he really showed up to play. And I hate to say it as a Michigan State fan, but Iggy Brasdeikis, the Knicks kind of need a dog in them, and that's what they got with him. Just the smack talk, it's kind of what they need. It's kind of what they're known for. So, yeah, that's my best draft. So our next topic is going to be Zion Williamson. Do we really believe the hype in Zion? So, Isaac, take it away.
I do believe the hype. I think he's going to be an absolute stud for 10 years. He's not LeBron. He's not going to be LeBron. I mean, he's 6'7", 200 something. But his presence alone, the Pelicans are going to be sold out every single night. You're going to have TV deals. That alone is probably worth it for a small market like that. And he's so athletic. Not even just he can't shoot that well, but That may develop, it might not. But like even like his block shots, like those are amazing to me. Like we haven't really seen anything like that. So to me, like he's already, I'd put him as an all-star next year already. I don't think because of his weight, I think he's gonna have injury troubles. Like the shoe thing in college, I don't think that like his weight was part of that, but I feel like he's so like strong and big that his knees won't hold up. I think he's gonna be great for about 10 years, and he's gonna fade off. But I do think he's gonna be like a 8-9 time All-Star and be really really good.
I certainly do believe he has. Obviously, he has the star potential. You can see it. How athletic, his build. But the thing that does concern me about Zion is like the league has changed to a 3-point and a shooting league, and with Zion, I'm not sold that he can consistently knock down a three. Like, I don't think he can create his own three. He could maybe knock down a wide open 3-pointer. He's not going off the dribble. He's not gonna break someone down and he has a handle, but he's not gonna cross someone up and chuck up a 3-ball. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's tough, and that's the only thing that concerns me about him is that are we gonna get another Ben Simmons type player, like a guy that is completely dominant in the paint and can run the floor, but he's not gonna be able to shoot, and that's the only problem. And I'm not sure Lonzo can't shoot. How good can Ingram shoot? So I mean, the Pelicans, if they don't get shooters, and if Zion can't shoot, and then they pack it in, are the Pelicans going to be okay in the terms of shooting? Are they going to have enough shooters? I don't know, but he's definitely going to be an all-star. He's going to be a great player in the league. But if there's anything that could be his downfall, is shooting is a huge part of the league now. So.
All right, before Mike goes, like, okay, Zion can shoot. Like, comparing him to Ben Simmons and Lonzo, that's a shitty comparison. Because, like, Lonzo can't even make a freaking free throw, and Ben Simmons hasn't even taken a three. Like, they're both shooting 50%. Like, Zion shot, 30% in college? Like, there's a lot of dudes that can do that. Like, LeBron couldn't shoot coming into the league. Like, he's not a good shooter, but he can, so you're not going to have teams like...
knock down it consistent.
Not consistent, but you're not going to have teams, like, sagging off in the paint like they do on Ben Simmons, just, like, daring him to shoot. Like, he can make a three.
Yeah, I think though at the same time Zion, like, I mean, obviously he's a better shooter than Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons didn't even attempt a 3-pointer, let alone average 30%. But the 3-point line is longer in the NBA, and so I mean we'll see how that goes. And at the same time, I do disagree. LeBron could create his own. He was more of a small forward leaning towards shooting guard than he is not when he came into the league than he is now as a small forward, like leaning towards a power forward. Like he's more of a heavier, like more power player than he was when he got in the league. And he could shoot. He's always been an okay shooter. Honestly, I think when he first got into the league, he could shoot well, and then it went down for whatever reason, and then now it's coming back up because the game's so dependent on 3-pointers. But I guess we're not really talking about LeBron. We're talking about Zion here. But I don't know. In my opinion, we'll see how it goes. But if he can knock down a consistent three where people can't pack it in, he's going to be a very dangerous player in the league for a while.
Yeah, I think LeBron's game right now is exactly what Zion should model his after, which he has done for the most part, just knocking down some threes, but more. He is so big, he's so fast, and he's so athletic that he's going to give every single defense in the league trouble. I truly believe that he is the next LeBron James, and that he's going to be very good. So.
Well, and like, I don't know, like people want to say he's LeBron, but like if he's Blake Griffin, is that good enough? Like, I don't know. I feel like Blake Griffin's a really, really good player who's been an all-star for a long time, and that's exactly what Zion can be. I mean, Blake just started shooting consistently. Like, if he's Blake Griffin, Clippers Blake Griffin, is that good enough?
I don't think that's good enough for him. Zion's gotten so much hype. He's the most talked about player. I mean, every single college basketball game, whether Zion was playing or not, Zion would get brought up 2 or 3 times with the announcers. Like the expectations are so high for him. So it's going to be tough to meet him, but I think he can.
So you said Zion is the next LeBron James. So would you say that Jordan and LeBron are 1 and 2 in terms of best of all time?
Jordan's 1, LeBron's 2.
So
LeBron needs at least 2 more
so Are you
rings.
saying Zion is at least gonna be 3 when he's done?
When he's
Okay,
if
so
he's
that's LeBron.
if he stays healthy, if he plays for 12 to 13 years, I think he is going to be a top 5 player of all time.
Well, I mean, people don't really want to talk about it, but like the league needs him. Like, there's a ton of stars right now, but you can see it with the finals ratings. Like, the league needs LeBron. Like, they're trying to hype him up like LeBron. They want Zion to be an all everything type of player. Where 5, 6, 7 years from now, you're gonna have people who just watch Zion, like they're just Zion fans, because that's gonna help the ratings so much more and make the league so much more popular.
Yeah. All right, so our last topic today is free agency. This free agency this year could really change what the league looks like. So we're going to be focusing on Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Kawhi Leonard, and Kemba Walker, and this is more of where we want to see them. So we're going to start off with Kevin Durant, and Isaac, you got it.
So just for Durant, this is kind of unique because this report came out a little while ago, but people were saying with Durant tore his Achilles that he's out for the year, so the Warriors might sign and trade him because by signing with the Warriors, you can sign the Supermax where no other team can give him that. So he'd sign with the Warriors, get the money, and they'd trade him to somewhere else so he can have that money there but still leave. And I think the perfect destination for him would be the Wizards because the Warriors would get assets back. You could make the trade like Bradley Beal, 2 first-rounders, and a cap filler. And so the Warriors would be fine. I mean, when Klay Thompson comes back, you have Bradley Beal and Draymond. They're going to be fine. They're going to be atop the West. But then if you're Washington, John Wall's already out for the year, and you have Durant out for the year, so you're gonna be terrible. So you can get a top 3-ish pick, so you can get a stud in next year's draft, and you roll out the next year with Durant, John Wall, and then probably another future star. You could be good in the East for a really, really long time. And Washington, like Maryland, that's Durant's hometown anyways, so he'd probably be fine with that if they traded him there.
The best option, in my opinion, for Durant, I mean, I'd never even heard of what Isaac just brought up, and I think that honestly sounds perfect. It's like his hometown, like it's where he's from, Durant. So like I do think that's a very interesting look at where Durant could go. But for me, I would like to see Durant stay in Golden State. I mean, he's got that player option, and so if he opts in, well, I mean, we'll see how Achilles injuries are tough. I mean, there's no guarantee he could even make it back for next year. I mean, Boogie went through it. John Wall went through it. It's a really difficult injury to try to make it back for. But if he were to make it back and they win one more finals, I mean, it just kind of cements his like into the Warriors that they needed him more than he just wanted to win a ring. And that's it. Like they actually needed him against the Raptors. Like I think everyone can agree they would have won the finals if Durant was playing. You saw his impact in the first. Well, he made it through a whole quarter, right? He got injured in the second quarter of that game 5.
They were up a ton.
Yeah, so you saw his impact on the short amount of time he played in the game. He came in smoking hot, hit like 3 or 4 threes, had double-digit points instantly. Like the dude is a walking bucket. I just think it would be it's beneficial for him to prove to the fans and prove to the league I mean, everyone's saying he's the best player in the league now, and for him, I think it would be the best to say like, you did need me, and I am the best player in the league, and I'm bringing home one more title here. But that's my opinion.
So I do think that, in my opinion, I think he will stay. I think he wants to prove more at Golden State. This will never happen. I would love to see it happen, but I would kind of like to see a LeBron type thing in Kevin Durant. I would want Kevin Durant to go back to Oklahoma City. I know Russell Westbrook has just gotten so ball dominant. With Paul George. Oh, I don't know. Sorry. I don't know. Sorry. Paul George out of the picture. I think Russell Westbrook has just gotten so ball dominant that it would be so hard to put another ball dominant guy like Kevin Durant back on that team after. I mean, Russ was kind of like the second guy on when Durant was there, and I mean, I think Paul George is a better player than him, but I still think he feels that he's the number one guy. Exactly. So I think that would be kind of a cool scenario. I mean, he's like the villain right now in the league, and if he went back, he'd like kind of be what LeBron was, where everyone started liking him a lot more. And so yeah, that's my take on Durant. The next one that we're going to talk about is Kyrie Irving. So Isaac, you want to?
All right, so I am not a big Kyrie Irving guy. I mean, let's face it, he's a shitty leader. Like, none of his teammates like him. He's an asshole. He has really weird opinions, like the flat Earth thing. So, but he's really talented, and he worked with LeBron. So, I think he should go to LA and join the Lakers, especially with Anthony Davis there. That's what they're missing, a really talented, dynamic point guard that can distribute and still score. And that big three of Kyrie, LeBron, and Anthony Davis, I don't know if I'm putting anyone above them next year. And especially with Kuzma and other young guys, and he doesn't have to be the alpha because that's not him. So if LeBron has the reins and Kyrie can just do it, like play basketball and not have all the media attention, and Anthony Davis is there and he's probably better than Kyrie, so I think they'd probably win the title if he goes there.
Kyrie's an extremely talented player, but I agree. Terrible leader, terrible team player. I mean, you could call him a cancer in the locker room. Like he nobody on his team like thoroughly enjoys him being a part of it. I mean, Boston, let's face it, Boston was better without him. They made it further. They were a better team. Kyrie calls out his teammates. I mean, first of all, I don't think anyone would ever think he's staying. He's gone. It's just a matter of where he's going to end up. And it's hard for me to even put a finger on what would work best for him because, like, obviously LeBron didn't work. It worked because they won a title, but he didn't. Yeah, chemistry-wise, it didn't work. And like, if you can't play with someone like that, it's hard to know who he would work the best with. And I mean, I think that if he's really looking to go somewhere where he could be like the main man, because if that's what he really wants, then I say go to Brooklyn. I mean, if he goes to Brooklyn, D'Lo is probably out. And D'Lo was starting to be the franchise player there. And I think Brooklyn is. They're a solid team. I wouldn't say they're they're a contend. They're not a contender. They're young. I like Spencer Dinwiddie. I like him. He's a good 2 to 3 type player. If he's a 2, that's that causes some problems. He's not a super dominant player, but I love Jared Allen. A player like that is awesome. Someone that's not afraid to put his neck on the line someone who's gonna get in there and block. He doesn't care who. Like LeBron comes in there, he'll step in there, he'll try to block him. So I mean, if he wants to go and be the man, I say go to Brooklyn.
I definitely agree with both you guys. I mean, with a coach like Brad Stevens, players Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford. I mean, how do you not win if you are considered a top 10 player in the league? How do you not win with that team? It's like,
They're all good guys.
and
Too.
yeah.
Everyone loves them.
Yeah, everyone.
You're the problem.
Yeah, he was the problem, and he showed he wanted out of Cleveland because he was the problem. But I think he's kind of. You could say he's growing up a little bit, but at the same time, I don't know. Just because he apologized to LeBron and everything, but that's because he kind of realized being the head guy is much harder than I thought. That's why I don't understand why he thinks going to Brooklyn with another young team, which is younger than the Celtics, how that would work. I agree with Isaac. I do think it'd be really fun to watch him back with LeBron in LA, but I don't see him making that move because I don't see him wanting to be the 2, maybe even 3 guy on the team because I think he knows he's a top 10 player in the league, and I think he is, but I mean, he's got too big of a head to be the 2 or 3 guy on the team again. So
Where do you have him going?
I got him going to Brooklyn. I think he's going to Brooklyn. I don't think it's the best move for him, but I got him going to Brooklyn. The next guy is Kawhi Leonard. So Isaac, take it away.
You guys will probably disagree with this. He has every right to leave, in my opinion. He can go to you don't go to the Lakers. You don't live in LeBron's shadow. You're too good for that. So I think you go to LA for the Clippers because you did what you were asked of in Toronto. You did everything the city could have wanted. You won them a championship. It's not like you signed there. You didn't sign a commitment. You were traded there. You weren't forced to go there, and you won for them. You did everything they would have wanted. So you want to live in LA. You want to go to the Clippers, who are a really good team. They took the Warriors 6 games. They've got young players that are scrappy, and they're probably a Kawhi piece away from being top 3-4 in the West and making it to the Western Conference Finals, and maybe you get another guy to come with you. So if I was Kawhi, I think he should feel comfortable and safe enough to go to LA. You don't owe Toronto anything because you already gave him everything.
I see that point, and I see where you say he did do his job. He did bring a title to Toronto, but at the same time, like that wasn't his choice to go to Toronto and win. Like that wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna go to Toronto and win him a title. He was traded there, and like in my opinion, there's like obviously he's a great player. And wherever he goes, they're gonna have a good team because he's that type of guy. He's a two-way player. Whatever team he's on is gonna be a good team. They're not like there's no saying that they're gonna be a contender every year. But in the NBA there's windows that people have, and right now with LeBron and AD and like that's still a question mark. There's no guarantee they're a super good team. Like AD's not a shooter and LeBron works well with shooters. Yeah, like there's no guarantee. So like in my opinion, Kawhi Leonard's window is still open, and so my only like my refute to that point that you made is that like his window is still there. He doesn't have a full strength Warriors to go through still because Durant, if he even comes back, like I don't even know if he will be back for next year. And Clay has a torn ACL. There's like he might not be the same. You never know what's gonna happen, but I just don't think you leave a championship team, especially when all of the guys coming back is Lowry, Siakam, Gasol.
Well, except for like Gasol and like
Gasol's not coming back.
Well, they got him at the deadline on an expiring deal, so I mean, but the main guys like Siakam,
Yeah.
Lowry, Danny Green's gone, so yeah.
Yeah. So I say Kawhi stays. You only have a certain window to play through, and I think that he needs to stay.
I agree with Derek. I don't know why you would want to leave. You basically have an entire country like that wants you to stay. You're basically the face of that country when it comes to sports. You have a great surrounding cast, and I just don't understand why you would want to leave. There's so much support in that city. I mean, there was like 30 Jurassic Parks around Canada when in Game 6. I mean, that's insane. There's rarely a team like that, or like fans for a team like that will like support like that. And I think that him leaving to go to the Clippers for money, I mean, there needs to be, he can't go to the Clippers and win immediately. He goes to the Clippers and he will have to wait years to win. I don't think that the Clippers have the cast to do it with him right now, and they would have to go get someone else, especially in the West when you got to play the Rockets with Harden, the Warriors, even if they're depleted next year. With Clay and Durant out, you still have to pay LeBron and AD. So I think that he doesn't leave. But so the last one that we're gonna go through is Kemba Walker.
I think okay, so he's done a lot for Charlotte. He has every right to stay, and I know he wants to. That's where everyone thinks he's gonna go, but he has no chance to win there. I mean, they have a ton of cap space. They don't have any cap space. And they don't have very many talented players. So if I was Kemba, I would go to Dallas and join up with Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis because, yeah, they're in the West, but those two alone are super, super talented, and they're young. So they'd all fit the same timeline, and that's what they're missing is a point. So if Kemba, Doncic, and Porzingis were there, and they have even more money, they're loaded with cap space, so they could get another guy if they wanted. And I think it won't be right away, but like let's say 2, 3, 4 years down the road, the Dallas could be really, really, really good.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought about that one. But I say Kemba, I mean, he's in a tough spot, and I don't know. A lot of players have to decide whether winning a title or being just like a famous celebrity that gets paid a lot of money. What's more important to them? It's based off their priorities, and I don't know what Kemba wants to do. He's a very big like team guy, and he's a very loyal guy. So I think he's gonna stay in Charlotte. He's the face of the city, and I think that, I mean, obviously Michael Jordan's the is he the owner?
Yes.
Yeah, he's the owner, and he has a lot of faith in Kemba. And I mean, they're doing their best to build around him. I don't think they'll ever be a contender, but I think for him he'd feel the most love for sure if he stayed, and I think he's gonna end up staying.
So like you said, he's a big team guy. I think because he's a great team player, I think he's gonna go to the Lakers. I think that you have to be a great team player to play with two guys of the caliber that they have with AD and LeBron, and I think he'd be a great fit there. So Well, that's all. Thanks for tuning in for the first episode of the Wolf Pod. We will be back with more episodes soon, but thank you.